there is a way to like um to live better with causing less suffering to other species, then why the fuck not?
We want to have a conversation about the consumption of animals, like as food.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, are you up for that, or if not, that's okay.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, we
What? Yeah,
presumably you think it's okay to like um, you know, view animals as a means to an end, turn them into food.
I do. Yes, I think. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, as humans, we are omnivores. We do eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
It's not new.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yes.
Like,
However, mhm.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. However, go on.
Um, however, we have to be kind of careful. The
Okay.
animals have kind of have to be treated well.
Okay. Um, I think that like I would agree with that, but I'm curious to know like what about animals you value that makes you um value their treatments.
Like, what makes me value how they're treated?
Yeah.
Ethics, I guess.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So do you think like animals deserve to be treated like the best way possible, or just like good enough? Like what sort of quality of life do you
The
think
best.
they deserve?
I mean, yeah, the best possible would be great. Since we do cattle animals to eat them, they have to be treated the best way possible because it's not really. Well, if it's their natural environment, then it's okay. It's how things are supposed to be.
I'm not sure I
We don't
understand.
hunt. I mean, we don't hunt anymore.
Yeah.
We,
Hmm.
we yeah,
Do you think like there are no wild cows, right? Like when you say
you
natural
know,
environment, what are you referring to?
I mean, what do we eat? We eat beef. We eat chicken.
Hmm.
These animals are not in nature anymore. Really, like really.
Yeah,
We cattle them, right? So we have to treat them the best way possible. I
that's interesting.
believe.
Maybe I guess like where I would come from, or like the angle I
Oh,
would start with is maybe we shouldn't make them cattle in the first place, right? Because like obviously once they're our responsibility, it's our responsibility to provide them good quality of
mm,
lives. Um, but maybe
mm.
maybe maybe we shouldn't like keep them for our own gain to begin with. What do you think?
I would want to ask you why you think so
Right.
first.
Well, in terms of like the same reasons that you think so, right? Like ethics. Like I think these individuals value their
Mm,
lives, um,
mm,
and I think individuals who value their lives deserve freedom to do what they want with their lives
mm.
without being
I,
taken advantage of, without being seen as a means to an end, without like they
mm.
deserve to be free. Um,
I totally understand that, but I kind of disagree in a way that we have to eat
mhm.
too, and I mean it's the real problem. I think is the industrialization,
I absolutely agree with you.
and yes, if it was just farmers having their little farms and you know being sufficient to themselves and the people around them, it would be totally fine.
Mm. So I do want to respond to the original point, right? So yes, we have to eat. I agree with you, and it's a really important thing, right? Like it's not only necessary for our survival, but beyond surviving, it's necessary for maintaining a good quality of life. We all need to eat. We deserve to be able to eat. Um, are you familiar with like plant-based uh, nutrition science?
Not really, no.
Okay, no problem. I wasn't very
Mm.
familiar either up until a few years ago.
Oh,
But it's the case right
mm,
now that we know that human beings of all stages of life, whether they're pregnant, children, elderly, healthy adults, what have you, that we can all survive and thrive on plant-based diets. So when you say like we need to eat, I agree with you. I
Mm.
would just respond, we need to eat, but we don't need to eat animals. So if it's not necessary to do
Mm.
so, why?
When these plant-based elements, we also have to make them, right?
Uh,
And
like in
isn't
terms of
that
producing food,
producing them? Yes.
yeah, absolutely, you have to make them.
Yeah. And that could cause some problems, don't you think? To feed, let's just say we all stop eating animals.
Yep.
Don't you think that would be a problem for the environment and I mean, the production would be a problem.
In terms of like, are you saying producing more plant foods would cause, or may cause some sorts of environmental issues?
Yes,
Okay, so
that's what I mean.
bear with me for a second, right? So
Mm.
in this like future scenario that you're proposing, trillions of animals that like we feed food to no longer exist, right? Am I understanding? Like the animals, like we would stop eating them and like we're no longer taking care of them, or are they still around?
It would, of course, they would still be around. Why would they
Uh,
just disappear?
so that's I would disagree with you, right? So in a world where we're no longer eating animals entirely, I don't
Mhm.
think that. So we produce billions and billions of animals. We breed them, we create
Mm.
them, we're
Mm.
like we're playing with life, right? We bring them into this world, and then kill them every year. And
Mm.
my I think it's reasonable to assume in a world where we're no longer consuming animals, we're no longer
Mm.
breeding them, and creating such a large population where there would be an excessive amount of animals like left over in this world where we're all no longer eating them, right?
Mm.
I think there would be a reasonable amount, like there would probably be millions, billions, etc. And those individuals, we could we would want to keep on sanctuaries where they're not being taken advantage of, etc. They're being given the best quality of life. So given that that's the case, like let's just say, like what do you think would be reasonable? Like let's say there's like even 100 billion land animals left on Earth at the time. Do you think that like that's a reasonable assumption? Like in a world where we're no
That's
longer
reason for what?
consume in a world where we're no longer
Mm.
consuming animals, do you think it would be reasonable to assume that there would be like maybe like 100 billion land animals left over or something like that that we would need to continue to take care of?
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
they wouldn't just go extinct overnight.
Yes.
They
So
would,
my
if we, yeah.
you bring up a good question, and what I'm getting at is, so if we're creating new life, like billions of billions of, like hundreds of billions of new animals every year, right? Um,
Mm.
Decreasing that and getting to a point where we have, like, let's say, 100 billion land animals on Earth,
Mm.
right? Seems like it would
Mm.
result in less environmental destruction, etc. The second point you brought up was, would us needing to produce more plant-based foods result in more environmental or negative
Mm.
environmental effects? That's a really good question. One thing that we ought to consider is that there's about 30%, I want to say. Actually, let me not even go into statistics. We can just do it um, based on like analyzing what's true of the world. So we have to grow food, right, to feed
Mm.
billions of animals, right?
Mm.
If we're at if we are considering a world where we're no longer doing that at the scale that we are now, right? So
Mm.
we're already decreasing from maybe like producing like hundreds of billions of animals a year to
Mm.
only having like 100 billion animals around, for example,
Mm.
like we're considering. So there you already have a massive decrease in um,
Mm.
plant agriculture that we were producing, like that we are producing today, that we would no
Mm.
longer need to feed to those animals, right? So we would have
Mm.
an abundance of agricultural land that instead of using to graze animals, we can use to feed ourselves. And the food that we otherwise were growing to feed animals, we can use to feed ourselves. It's actually the case that when we look at the data, growing or mostly plant-based foods, eating mostly plant-based diets in a world where that is true, we would
Mhm.
lessen the negative climate effects significantly. And
Mhm.
I can send you the data on this if you would like.
Oh yeah, please send it to me. I would
Yes,
be.
let's do
Oh,
that
I'm
right
very
now.
interested in it. Yeah, no, I'm very interested in the subject, and I'm
Oh,
really willing to like dig
really?
deeper.
You're okay.
Yeah.
I'll give me a moment. I'm gonna be looking for what I'm referring to, and in the meantime, would you? I'm curious why you're so interested, because to be honest, like um,
Mm.
I don't know if you can tell, like I'm a bit anxious, because a lot of people when we have these conversations with them, like they just
Mm.
either don't care about animals, like they don't care about
Mm.
like the state of the world and how like what we do and what we do to each other,
Mm.
all relates to each other, right? So it's I'm curious to know why you find this interesting to begin with.
Because well, if there is a way to like um to live better with causing less suffering to other species, then why the fuck not? I
Whoa,
just want to say why not?
dude, this is like thank you. I need a little bit of faith restored in humanity because a lot of people are just like, yeah, like like if I could live a better way and especially decrease the suffering of others, why would I do that? I really like my life right now, and I don't care about others enough to do anything about it. Like it's like oh yeah, okay, that seems reasonable.
Yeah,
um.
no, of course. I'm not really educated on this subject, so
Oh wow.
I
Okay.
guess this is my sign to like just educate
Amazing.
myself on it,
Yeah,
like,
was
know
that
about it.
you
And
who just sent me a friend request? I see a little notification.
uh, no, it's not me.
If not, I'll
I
send
sent
But
you.
you I sent you something
Oh, okay.
for data there that you wanted.
Oh, sweet. I'm just going to our world in data. Is that what you sent me?
I did, yeah.
Okay, sweet. Actually, I'll grab the link directly from you then, because I'm looking through their website. Yeah, I just added you as a friend. So I don't know how obvious it is, but this is like something we're doing like sort of formally. Going around spaces like this where people are
mm,
like amenable to having like open conversations, and talking to them
mm,
about like these stuff, and like seeing if they're open to these ideas, seeing if they'd care enough to like have their
mm,
minds changed.
yeah.
So give me a moment. I'm gonna grab this link from Fibulous. Uh, so we have established
Yeah,
that
thank
like you and I both care about animals for ethical reasons, and that
you.
we ought to like take care of them to the best we can. And like some objections you had is like maybe um, in like changing like the food system in some ways, like it would result in environmental damages and such.
Mm, mm,
And like given that that isn't the case. And given that we can be healthy on a plant-based diet, right? Like it's not a harm for us to make such a switch. Like, do you have any other like pragmatic objections, or like I mean these aren't objections so far. Like you're just giving,
mm.
um, like you're just saying what's on your mind in terms of like, you know, things that could happen negatively. Is there anything else that is of concern like that?
Yes,
Yes,
I'll
please
try
go
to
on.
put it in the right. As you can hear, English is my English is not great. I'm trying to articulate what I want to say.
Your English is fine.
Um, but what wanted to what I want to know is that you know how meat is kind of necessary to our diet.
Hmm.
There are some vitamins that only we only ever exist in meat. Of course, we can have synthetic vitamins. I'm talking about the B group.
Yeah, like are you talking about like B12 for example is like one
Yes,
yeah.
B6, B12.
So do you have any qualms with supplementing like with a what's it called? Like a multivitamin or something like this?
What was the question?
Sorry. Do you have any like would you have any problems with supplementing with a multivitamin, like a daily vitamin?
Um, it kind of bothers me in the sense that it already exists in nature. Why do we have to produce even more?
Ah,
You know?
interesting.
I like to always go back to how nature has made things.
And I can respect that, right? But there has to be
Mm.
a threshold wherein there's like some things that we wouldn't do just because it's the more natural option, right? So, like,
Mm.
uh, like you could technically like eat mud, right? Like you can put your
Mhm.
face in dirt and eat that, like if you really want like natural B12 without harming others. But so and there's three options it seems, right? We can eat mud, which is where B12 is found in bacteria. We can have other animals, we'll force them really to eat mud, like
Mm.
as they're grazing and such, and then eat their flesh. Or we can synthesize it without harming anybody and without having the displeasure of having to put our faces in mud and eat it. Um, Given that the most natural option seems to entail hurting others, um, like, do you think that you could get over that disposition that, like, oh, like, I get it too. Like, I get wanting to have the more natural option, but the natural option seems to harm others.
Well, you see, I don't think it's. Yes, it is harming, it is killing an animal. I totally agree with that. But it's not something new. It's how things are. Animals do eat animals in nature. And I don't think it's that tragic. This is just how it works.
Yeah, I don't think
You know?
I don't. So for animals who eat each other in nature, right?
Mhm.
Like, do you think there's any like difference morally with their actions and our actions when we eat other animals, or do you think?
Of course.
Oh, okay. So
Of course.
like I would
And
agree with you then. Like we've been eating animals for a long time. Animals have been eating each other for a long time. Do you think that like that's? I'm not sure that like. Are you suggesting that's some sort of justification for continuing to do so?
it's the most. It's the natural state, so I would say yes.
What do you mean by the like natural thing?
It's what we did from the beginning of time. And it's the most.
You know, there's.
It is the easiest way. It is the easiest way to do
I'm.
it.
I don't. It's hard to believe that you respect anything that is like quote unquote natural or anything that has been happening since forever ago. I
But you, yeah.
I don't believe you, right? Like
Oh,
prejudice, right? Like discrimination. These things have been going on forever. They're natural. Do you think that they should
yeah.
continue happening because they're natural?
No, it is not the same thing. Discrimination is not um, wars or violence or whatever. It is not something necessary to our survival.
Yeah.
Eating is.
Yeah, eating
It is
is
an instinct.
not eating animal
Hunting is.
flesh. Not eating animal flesh. That's not necessary. So it's the same in
Uh,
that neither of them are necessary for our survival.
well, I would have to disagree though.
Right.
Eating
On
is.
what basis?
Well, meat.
Meat
It's the
what?
main source of protein. We do have to eat
It's
protein.
the main source of
Right?
protein. What do you mean?
Main. Yeah, it is the main source of protein. Meat.
Yeah, I just don't understand what you mean by that. I'm not objecting to it. I'm
Oh,
misunderstanding you. Yeah. What do
I
you?
mean, it's how do I put this? It's basically serving our instincts in the way where we have to eat and hunting too. From the beginning of time, humans hunted,
Okay.
right?
Two things. So you think I'm confused at this point.
Okay.
Can you reiterate your point, please? Like what you just said.
What I mean is that hunting and killing animals to feed ourselves. That is, all, at least at some point, it was necessary
Yeah,
to feed
it's no
ourselves.
longer necessary. So why should we do it?
It isn't because it's natural.
Right, and
I
since
mean,
there is
well, that's
discrimination,
no, okay.
or
That was yeah, wait,
etc.
that was terrible.
Right, so like that's what I'm getting at. Like you don't actually care. Like and like it's not like I'm not offended. I'm not trying to like catch you out. But this natural thing isn't very important. There are other things that are natural that you wouldn't appeal to just because they're natural. Like if it's bad, it's bad. It doesn't matter if it's natural. It
I
doesn't
totally
matter
get.
if it's happening forever.
I totally get your point. Now we have the means to change that, and we can
Yeah.
um,
So why don't
spare other
why shouldn't
diseases.
we?
Yeah, that's true. Why shouldn't we?
And the other thing is protein, right? Like meat being a main source of protein. That's unfortunately just untrue. It's true in the sense that like that's what we see all the time. It's what's recommended to us. So like I don't fault you for believing this. But there's actually sources of plants, like plant foods that have a much higher protein content, right? And especially in terms of ratio. And secondly, plant foods don't have things like cholesterol, right? They don't have things like excessive fats that are unhealthy for you. So not only like in terms of protein, like that's just not true. It's not like the main source of protein, right? If we're saying if by main source of protein we mean like it can provide to us the most amount of protein in a healthy manner, that's just not true of meat. Or it's not true of meat in the sense that it's not the best, right? There are plant foods that are even
Yeah.
better than steak and chicken, whatever.
Mm.
So again, if these things,
I
if what
do.
I'm saying is true, like what objections do you have? Because your objections aren't natural, like the nature
Yeah.
of this, or the fact that like meat, or if you believe me, anyways, the fact that meat is a main protein. Like we can survive
No,
without these things. We don't need
I do agree.
to rely on them.
I do agree, but I think what I meant is that meat is the most accessible.
I would even disagree with that. There was a recent Oxford study that
Mm.
that has we can link that to you too. It's
Okay.
more accessible. Like plant foods are more accessible and even more affordable on average.
I would have to disagree. I live in a third world country, and yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and like I said, like I want to what's it called? Emphasize on average, right? So this is looking at like the average population in certain countries. This is not going to be true. Where you live though, like are there like staple like grains and such? Like do you have like rice and pasta?
we do, yeah, we
Okay.
do,
Can you get like beans, chickpeas, lentils?
yeah, we do.
Okay. And are those sort of affordable foods?
They are.
Okay. And then you can get things like tomatoes, tomato sauces, spices, what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then boom, you have a diet. That's all there is to it. And this is like nutritionally complete
And,
already.
it's not. You still need a supplement of vitamins.
B12.
B12, B1, B6,
Yeah.
B.
So when when you supplement
Yeah.
anything that you're deficient in, then you have a nutritionally complete diet. Yes, absolutely.
Yes, but these supplements are not very affordable.
Oh, okay. If that's the issue, I see.
Mm.
Have you heard of like a B12 injectables?
Yeah,
You have?
yeah.
Is that affordable there or
Mm.
no?
Not really. All kind of supplements are not really affordable.
Okay.
At all.
And then do you guys have like plant milk?
I mean, we do, but it's very, very expensive.
Okay, interesting. Fib, do you have anything to add in here?
The only other recommendation for B12 I was going to give is nutritional yeast. I don't know if you have that or not.
Not really. I mean, I'm pretty sure I can find it, but
Yeah, I guess so.
maybe
The
online.
other thing
But
is
I've never
like
seen it.
with veganism, right? Like it's a matter of like nobody's gonna expect you to like put yourself in a
Mhm.
detriment that like you know isn't reasonable for
Mhm.
the sake of like purity or whatever, right? Unfortunately, like if you're in a situation where the only source of B12 like truly is an
Mhm.
animal product, I think it would be much better that you consume like let's say 98% plant-based, you know, and prevents animal
Yeah.
suffering where you can buy affordable foods,
Mm.
you know, that are accessible to you,
Yeah.
and you know, obviously get B12 however you can. If you truly do not
Mm.
have plant-based sources, if you truly cannot afford fortified foods,
Mm.
um, and the same goes with supplements. If this is the case, like this is like these things are like
Mm.
all if we grant all of these things, um, y- I still don't. There still shouldn't be any reason for you not to cut down
Mm.
like
Yeah,
the majority
excessive.
of
Yeah.
that consumption. Yeah. What do you think? Do you disagree with that?
No, I totally agree with that, and I also used to say that we don't have to. Yeah, no, I totally agree with that.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Can I help you do that?
In what way?
Like in terms of like if you have any questions in terms of like what a nutritionally complete plant-based diet would look like for you, and like in terms of like whatever products you're looking for
Mm.
or etc.
Yeah, giving alternatives. That'd be really cool.
Yeah. I don't know if I already did. I think I offered earlier. Um, would you like to join the server?
Yeah, I would like to.
Amazing. Yeah, Fib, did you have anything else to say? I think it's been an alright conversation. Amazing conversation, actually.
I was gonna ask you. I was gonna ask her if you knew where B12 even came from in the first place.
Where it came from?
Yeah, like where is it in nature? Where does B12 come from? Do you know that?
Isn't it the soil?
Okay, yeah, you do. Okay, just checking.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah, and
We go back to the point where
the other thing is
Mhm.
like, this is a joke, right? But you really could, like, if you cared enough, you really could eat like soil, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. I was gonna say we could go back to the point where we just stick our heads
right.
in the mud.
Oh man, right. Yeah, you could do that.
Yeah,
Um, this is
and
interesting.
have a bunch of other
W-
bacteria with it. Oh,
Is this your first conversation regarding this subject? Like,
yes, it is.
wow.
It is absolutely.
How was this?
It's great actually. It's opening my mind to the subject.
Amazing.
And
Well, this is really good to hear. I do want to clarify,
Mhm.
that generally speaking, I'm not against like, well, yeah, generally speaking, I'm not against the consumption of animals, right? So like in a situation where, like, it's like B12 is very necessary, for our survival, quality of
Mhm.
life, etc. In a situation
Mhm.
where it's not accessible, I think you have to do what you have to do, and in conjunction with that, I think you have to do the best you can for the animals, right? That is the main point.
Mhm.
And I think you understand that.
Mhm. So I have thought about this in the past in a sense where the well-being of animals is an issue and is my main interest. But again, I personally didn't think too deep into it because I feel like it's kind of how can I put this? It's not the main thing that I think about,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know.
And
Yeah.
I don't take offense to that, right? Like we live in a world where that's the case for most people. So like I am quite excited actually, like meeting somebody who's amenable to having these conversations and actually like accepts the idea, you know, and is understanding. So like I really appreciate that much, dude. You've been like, it's rare to meet like just normal people, right? Like I even if you like even if you
Yeah.
disagreed with me, I appreciate your normalcy. Like you're just like a chill person. So dude, hell yeah. Yeah, do you have any other questions
It's
or
just normal. Like,
yeah?
not for now. I think I'm gonna sit and think about it and
Yeah,
yeah.
dude. Sit and think
Yeah.
about it.
Back.
I'm gonna send you resource as well regarding how plant-based diets in general are nutritionally complete,
Yeah.
and like dietetics associations. Like these are individuals who professionally are helping people with their nutritional health, diets, etc. Like they support this conclusion that plant-based diets are healthy for everybody, all stages of life, pregnancy, children, adults, elderly people, sick people, etc. I'm going to forward that to you as well, but I have to get going for now. This has literally been like probably one of the most amazing conversations I've had regarding this topic, and I really appreciate you for that. Like genuinely, thank you.
No, I appreciate y'all for talking about it and yeah.
Hell
I think
yeah.
that's definitely my thing, yeah.
My name in that server you're gonna see as Monda. So if you ever see me in there, like feel free to chat. And if you ever have any more questions, like feel free to message me.
Perfect.
Dude, this has been super cool. Take it easy.
Yeah. Of course, and thank you for doing what you do.
Hell yeah.
Keep it going.
Absolutely.
Have a
Thank
good
you for
one.
being who you are. Amazing. Take it easy.
Thank you. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye bye. Holy shit. Dude, that was worth the wait, don't you think?
Yeah,